This is the home of AEK Larnaca, where Aberdeen are currently, as we speak, training ahead of tomorrow's UEFA Conference League game. The match kicks off tomorrow in Larnaca at 17:45 in the UK. It's an opportunity to get back to winning ways in the Conference League and see if we can start climbing that table that we currently prop up. Hello everybody, how you doing? A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV this Wednesday night ahead of our UEFA Conference game tomorrow against AEK Larnaca from Cyprus. Tonight, we've got a bit of a comprehensive show going on this evening. So we're going to hear a very short soundbite from the manager who has just given his press conference in Larnaca. We're also going to be hearing from a Cypriot football expert and a good pal of mine. So I'm looking forward to bringing Stell onto the show a little bit later as well. Dante's also come on. He's talking about the importance of the fans. We've got a soundbite from Dante a little bit later as well. And we'll do the usual match facts and everything else that goes with the show tonight. So get in touch. Tell me how you're feeling ahead of the game. If you are actually in Cyprus, give us a wee shout and let us know how you're settling in and what the surroundings are like. So what we'll do to start the show is predict the team news. I hate doing this. I don't know why I bother doing it. But I'm going to give it a wee bash anyway. There might be one or two wee surprises in there. So, this is the team that I would like to start the game tomorrow. Okay? So, the manager says that Emmanuel Gyamfi is fit. So, I'd like to see him go in to that left wing back role. And I'd like to see Dylan retain his place in front of Nicky Devlin, because I thought Dylan did himself absolutely no harm against Kilmarnock, and I think we should chuck him in, because the only way he's going to improve and become a better player is by playing at the very highest level. So I'd like to see him start. In the middle, I've gone with Shinza on the left and Ante this time instead of Dante. Further forward, I've gone with the same as what the manager picked against Kilmarnock, which I thought actually worked to a degree. So Stewart on the right, Carlson on the left, and I would like to see Marco start the game. This is what the manager had to say only a couple of hours ago.
Nothing is impossible. Sometimes it's more difficult the way you start competition, but there's still points there to take to give you a chance to get qualified. So that's our aim, and that's why we need to focus tomorrow. And like Mats mentioned, it's going to be a really tough game, but you have to believe it and you have to try and make a really good performance to give yourself the chance to do it.
Thank you, Yemi. He was very buoyant ahead of the game, I have to say, in his press conference. Don't forget, Ali Beg is ABTV is brought to you by Saltire Energy, the global market in leader and drilling special equipment rental. They also do torquing, testing, refurbishment and welding. They are there for all those services if you so wish. And as I always say here on the channel, if you are interested in any of those services, feel free to get in touch with Saltire Direct, or you can come to me and I'll put you in touch with them. They really are a market leader. Okay, so match stats. Let's bring you that before we open it up to you guys. So I come into this game undefeated in their past 5 matches, winning 3 and drawing 2. This will be the Dons' third trip to Cyprus in a European competition, having played against Neo Salami in 1990 and more recently Apollon Limassol in 2017. AEK will be the 78th club that Aberdeen have faced in a European competition. To date, Aberdeen have faced opposition from 40 different nations. Your officials for tomorrow's game are from the Czech Republic. Right, let's just get some of your thoughts on before we get Stell on, and he can tell us all about Larnaca and what we can expect tomorrow night. Right, let's see how you're doing. So let me just bring that down. Oh, there's a few of you on tonight. That's good. Right, I need to drag that up to the top. There we go. Okay, Cameron Young came on first of all. He says, absolutely massive match tomorrow night in Cyprus against Larnaca, and hopefully we can get the result. Not confident, but let's wait and see. Craig says he's going to be watching from behind the sofa with a blindfold on. He does say, though, good luck to the lads. Neil Sinclair says, good luck to the team tomorrow, hoping for a good performance. Graham Gibbs says, did you see the Northern Light print signed by Fergie, Knox, Black and Hewitt? Somebody going to be smiling on Christmas Day. So if you have seen that post today, which the football club put out with their former videographer, Glenn Cairns, Glenn is going to be coming on the show ahead of the Motherwell game. So the preview for the Motherwell game on Saturday evening, Glenn will be here to talk about the whole process of getting those prints signed and how he basically came up with the idea to make money for charity. If you've not seen them, go onto Aberdeen's socials and you'll see them. It's the most astonishing photograph that I've seen of Pittodrie ever. Kilted Warrior is on, wishing you all a very good evening, as is Philip Palmer. We can always hope for a win, as long as it's not a drubbing, he says. Craig Moyer says, tough game, but very winnable. We can't be wide open like we were in Athens. Keep it tight and hit on the break. Having Gyamfi back will suit the wing-back role. Fingers crossed for a positive result. Paul Donaldson is here, wishing you a good evening. Hope everyone is ready in Cyprus. Everyone's having a good times and safe travels to everyone travelling. Grey Pilgrim is quite simply asking, a Dons win, please. Stephen Anderson is here. How are we doing? He says, tomorrow I'd just like to see us look like we know what we're doing. Surely that's not too much to ask, he says. John Grant says, good evening, everybody. Hope we put up a decent performance. Tricky game, but we need to be solid at the back. Chris Clark says, good evening. Hope everyone is well. Really don't know what to expect tomorrow. Hoping for a more streetwise setup compared to Athens, so we stay in the game, then go for it later and try and grab a goal and a winner. John Kylo says, I know nothing about this team. Well, hang on a second, mate, because Stell will tell you all about it. He doesn't know anything about the league either. But we do need to beat them, which is polar opposite of my know-all attitude. Dave B says, good evening, dandies. For some bizarre reason, I'm confident of getting a result. Why is that bizarre, Dave? Al Hay says, good evening, guys. Hope we play 5-4-1 tomorrow and play it right and hit them on the break. Can't afford another heavy defeat. Bob Duff says, Gyamfi in for Loban, and as you were from last Wednesday. Yeah. Anti's not in the squad. Ali, you stupid boy. So that should obviously be Dante. I would like Dante to go in there. Stupid boy. Bob Duff says he thinks that Jensen will start at right wing back at Dylan's expense. Graham Gibbs says, with those injuries, then the obvious starting 11 is the same one at Rugby Park, bar Gyamfi in for Jensen. Colin Gale says, I have a feeling Jensen will be in the team. He could retain his position on the left or perhaps instead of Dylan. John Kyler says, the only thing I do know about Ike was they sold a right winger called Farage in the summer. They did, mate. Bob Duff says, I wonder if Lutz Pfaffenstiel will be there, irrespective of his actual start date. I think he probably might well be. Martin Smith says that he agrees with my team. Martin, thank you, but Ante won't be playing because he's injured. So I will put Dante in there. Gordon Keith Ritchie says, good evening all. We take a draw tomorrow as it won't be an easy game, but you never know. Come on, you Reds, he says. Right, so let's get Stell on. Where are you, fella? Oh, there he is there. Okay, so Stell Stiliano is a good pal of mine, has been for a number of years now, and is probably the expert to go for when it comes to Cypriot football. So Stell and I sat down this morning and we had a really good chat about Larnaca and what the Dons can expect. So welcome to the show for the first time, my mate Stell Stiliano. Hi Stell, it's really good to see you, mate. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, mate. No complaints. No complaints. The Cypriot football season is going well. We've got a lot to talk about on our podcast. So yeah, it keeps me busy. Yourself?
Good man. Right. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And thank you for offering us your expertise on Larnaca. So let me ask you, first of all, how is their form coming into this game? And what sort of formation do you think they'll put out?
Well, to be fair, I could be doing really well. I know the league table tells you otherwise, but their recent form's been fantastic. They got a good win away from home against Apollon at the weekend. And prior to that, midweek, they beat Buffalo in the Super Cup, which is our version of the Community Shield or the Charity Shield, whatever it's called. They had to move it because at the beginning of the season, both clubs had European commitments, so they delayed it and delayed it. But they won on penalties, and to be fair, they made 8 changes to that team because Idiakes has been rotating. And yeah, I mean, obviously they beat Crystal Palace. I know they drew against Upwell the game after, but Upwell are title contenders, and yeah, it was a derby game. But yeah, their form has been very very good recently, given the circumstances, especially with Conference League football. It's very difficult for Cypriot teams to balance European games with domestic football, but it's been good. Yeah,
Okay. What sort of formation do you think they'll play, mate?
likely a 4-2-3-1.
Mm.
That's the system that Iliakis has deployed all season. He hasn't changed it unless he's been trying to shut up shop in games like, for example, Crystal Palace, where he went 5 at the back at the end. But it's mostly a 4-2-3-1. You're going to see the fullbacks bombing forward. I expect a really low block, though, which is what they do in European games. Okay, they do it in the derby games in Cyprus, but they play a little bit higher up the field and they go very aggressive with the press. I don't think they're going to do that against Aberdeen. I think they're going to sit back and maybe see how Aberdeen play from an attacking perspective. If they do notice Aberdeen are going a bit more attack minded, then they'll push up. But yeah, it's a very compact system, to be fair.
Okay. What players should we be looking out for?
Well, there's quite a few players in that AEK team that can cause problems. You know, you saw Bajic that got the winner against Crystal Palace. I'd say he's a traditional British number 9.
Okay.
Very physical, good in the air, loves the physical game, and he's got bags of experience. He had a spell at Udinese, and he came pretty late in the summer as well. I'd say, look, that they had a winger called Chacon that was very, very tricky, but he did his ACL against Crystal Palace. But his replacement, Ivanovic, also a summer signing, he's had a very, very good season. So I'd look at him. Middle of the park, maybe Pere Pons, experienced Spanish box-to-box midfielder. Loves to arrive late, has scored some very important goals. And then you got Gus Ledes, the holding midfielder, who's been sensational for them since joining them 3 or 4 years ago. And when Ledes is in top form, he's one of the best midfielders in the league. So from an attacking perspective, I'd say those 4 players.
From a fan's point of view, mate, there's a number of Aberdeen fans travelling across to Cyprus today, tomorrow as well. What can they expect from the city? How will they be hosted?
Look, Larnaca, look, I like Larnaca, even though they are a Larnaca side, and I don't want to upset them or offend them, but they're not seen as the Larnaca side.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is because there's another team in Larnaca called Anorthosi, who I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah.
They're actually a refugee team. They're from Famagusta, which is in the occupied territory. And in '74, after the Turkish invasion, they came to Larnaca. They got their own stadium and this and that, but they got probably double the amount of supporters as AEK do. So again, this isn't a disrespect to Larnaca, even though they are a Larnaca side, they're not seen as like the team in Larnaca. And don't get me wrong, I mean, AEK were formed in 1994. There was 2 teams, Bezo Borigoz and EBA, that merged, and they became AEK. So they haven't been around for a long time either. I mean, what is that, 21, no, 31 years? If I'm not mistaken. 31 years? Yeah. So, but let's get it right. They are improving. They've been title contenders the last few seasons. 2 years ago, they just about missed out on the title one head-to-head. They drew with Upwell on the final day of the season, which meant that Upwell would become champions. They've been in European competition for quite a few years. I remember they played Barcelona in 2012. So they have done pretty well. So again, I don't mean to disrespect them, but in terms of being seen as the Larnaca side, it's mostly Anorthosi because they are based in Larnaca at the moment. But yeah, they are improving big time.
Is it warm over there at the moment?
I've just come back and it was 25, 26.
Nice. So a bit of an Indian summer.
I think it's warmer this week.
Is it?
I think it's warmer this week. So yeah, they'll have a good time. They'll have a good time.
Cool. All right, Stel. Well, listen, mate, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate your time, fella. And hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely, mate.
Brilliant. Top man. Bye, mate.
Cheers. Ta-da.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Stel. Lovely to see you as always. So, a gentle reminder that Ali Beg AB TV is also brought to you by Craig International, who lead the way in global procurement. Offices all over the world. So, if you are in America, in Houston, or in and around that area, in Canada, back home in Aberdeen, where their head office is, they're also based on the European continent in Hamburg, as well as the Middle East in Qatar, in Oman and Dubai. They also serve Southeast Asia in Singapore and also all the way down in Australia, where currently business is very, very good. They're currently in Abu Dhabi at the AEK, so if you are there and you want to get along and meet the guys, just pop along and say hello. All the major players from Craig International, from executives to management, are all in Abu Dhabi at the moment at the exhibition and the conference. Right, before I come back to your comments, a player to look out for tomorrow night. Quite interesting that the manager actually spoke about this chap in the press conference earlier today. So I've managed now, at long last, to be able to get past the paywall. So I'm really sorry about the mistake about Ante at the top of the show. I had no idea he was injured, and I've only just seen by getting past a bloody paywall that he's injured. So he's out. Sivert Hilton-Nielsen is out. Alfie Dorrington is out until past the international break, the manager says. In terms of Emmanuel Gyamfi, he's in the squad. He doesn't think he'll start, but he does think that he'll get some minutes. Personally, I would actually like to see him start, as I've put in my team. So if he can start, not saying he plays the full 90 minutes, but I think what we need to do is we need to build ourselves a base to try and win the game. That's what I think. So in terms of the player to watch, the manager said that they're very much keeping an eye on this chap, Marcus Rodin. Swedish international player who used to play for Elfsborg. So very experienced player. Scored so far this season in the Conference League, and in terms of his percentages, very high, very good, and he is most definitely the playmaker that we need to keep an eye on tomorrow. So hopefully, as Jimmy said in his pre-match press conference, they will have a plan to stop him. Ali Beg AB TV is also brought to you by Quipco, who service the oil and gas industry. They are based in Abu Dhabi. They service the entire Middle East. They have a number of services. They have a number of products. That there is just a handful of some of the services that they provide. So if you want to know more, go to their website, quipco.com. All the information is on there. If you fancy it, get in touch with them direct, or as I always say, come here and I'll put you in touch with the guys at Quipco. Right, let's go back to your comments. Kaiser says, we must win tomorrow or we'll be left having to play 3 meaningless games in Europe. That's just what we need after the terrible start to the season. C.E. Sirkin, I think it is, just says, just go out and have a go. Mate, I agree, absolutely. Simple, just have a pop. Neil Sirkin says, good evening, Ali. My opinion is that we will win 3-2. John Kylo says, went to Cove a few times last season and Loban was brilliant. Bob Duff came back and said, in regarding Lutz at Paffenstein, I'm sure he's already commenced employment with us behind the scenes, albeit unofficially. Bob, I think you're absolutely right, mate. Bob also said Loban came through the 18s as a centre mid alongside Finlay Marshall. Very composed and technical player. Hopefully we see him play there one day. Christopher Leslie Bray is hoping for a 1-0 win, and he says it would be a good result moving forward for sure. Sorry guys, just bear with me. John Kylo says, Jensen has a very poor final third play. So he's not winning you the game. He's terrible at wing back. For me, he just plays the ball. He always goes backwards. Frustrates me. Get the ball forward. Colin Gale says, bearing in mind the additional team news, I would imagine Jensen on the left and Loban on the right. He could actually start the same team that started against Kilmarnock. Maybe. I would not be surprised if that's the team and the formation that he plays tomorrow. So let's see. Okay, so what we got? Right, I just need to get something in for you. 1 second. So again, the manager was asked the question about Dante Polvara earlier today. And he said now that the sporting director is coming in, they're going to be having very close chats. What he did do was he basically dodged the question by saying that he does not like to speculate about players who are currently contracted to the football club. It is actually the club's policy that they never talk about contract situations, players being linked to other clubs. They just don't talk about it. So I'm absolutely not surprised at all that the manager dodged the question today. But Dante is with the squad. He travelled, and this is what he had to say.
I mean,
just
our
before
away
they got on the
fans have
flight.
always been so good, and it seems like every year they get better. And I always hear stories of, people coming up to me telling me about their away trips that they planned with their dad or their whatever, and it's these great memories that we have on some of these away grounds in Europe. So I felt, just sorry that, we let ourselves down, but we let them down too, because I know how great of an opportunity it is to create a lifetime memory. So it's disappointing, but we have a few other chances, so hopefully we can make it right.
I have to say, I thought he played well against Kilmarnock, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts tomorrow now, knowing that Ante is out. Guys, don't forget to give us a wee follow here on the channel. We are getting ever closer to 4,800 subscribers now, which is absolutely fantastic. And thank you for continuing to support us by liking the show, because it really helps massively with the algorithm. The viewing figures recently, I've noticed, have increased quite, I wouldn't say dramatically, but there is most definitely a big difference in viewing figures. They're up, I would say, considerably, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's down to you guys liking the channel all the time, helping with the algorithm, pushing the channel further up the ladder. So thank you very much for your continued support with that. So, you know that I love to catch up on the history of the football club. So, on this day, the 5th of November, back in 1963, former Aberdeen striker and Hall of Fame member Hans Heelhuis was born. Hans played exactly 100 games for the club, scoring 32 goals. He celebrates his 62nd birthday today. What a partnership he had with Charlie Nicholas. And on this day, in 1937, Aberdeen's board of directors reluctantly accepted that legendary manager Pat Travers will leave the club to join Clyde. Mr. Travers managed the club between 1924 and 1937, and he was only the club's second ever manager. He also so happened to be a good friend of my grandfather, who was as I've mentioned many times on the channel, a well-known, much loved and respected football journalist in Scotland before he died in the year 1990. He's an honorary member of the Scottish Football Writers Association, which was awarded to him back in 1981. And this is a true story. If I've told you this before and you've heard it before, forgive me for repeating it. If you haven't, then I hope you enjoy it. I swear this is true. So Mr. Travers won the Cup, the Scottish Cup with Clyde in 1955. If my memory serves me correct, I think it was after a replay. And that particular evening, my grandfather was working as a journalist for the numerous newspapers that he worked for at the time. He was covering the game. And after the match, he went to catch up with Mr. Travers, who so happened to be holding the Scottish Cup. And he asked my grandfather if he would keep a hold of it for the evening and basically take it home with him. And my grandfather was so shocked that he didn't really understand why. And Mr. Travers said that he had given permission for the players to have a night out in Glasgow, and he was extremely concerned that the trophy might go with them and get damaged. So, that night, my grandfather took the Scottish Cup home with him to Bishopbriggs, a suburb of Glasgow. And he put it on my late father's bedside cabinet while he was sleeping. My dad had only just turned 10 years old. And he woke in the morning to find the Scottish Cup saying, "Good morning." I swear that's true. On my mother and father's grave, I swear that's true. The very next morning, after my dad and his sister, my auntie, got packed off to school, my grandfather put the cup into the car and he drove it to Shawfield, where he met Mr. Travers for a cup of tea and presented him back with a trophy. I swear, it's true. Oh, dearie me. I love stuff like that. Right. Alan S says, Dante always speaks well and a great representative for the club. If he could become a regular starter, would make a good successor as skipper, Captain America. Kaiser says, it's up to the coaching staff to get players' fitness. I wouldn't say Pulvara is any less fit than the rest of the team. John Kylo says, we have had more managers in the last 20 years as we had from 1903 up until Sir Alex. You're quite right. I actually did see that today when I was just checking out the information about Mr. Travers. Bob Dove says, Dante will stay, I think. He'll get another 2 years. Bob, I hope you're right. Kaiser says, could we blame Dante if he wants to leave? He certainly hasn't had a fair shot. John Kylo's coming back to the wing-back situation. Says, our wing-backs are currently terrible, but I think Gyamfi is the one. Bob Duff says, we need Gyamfi fit and ready for Sunday. So maybe tomorrow he gets the final 30 minutes. Could well be, mate. Yeah, Graham Gibbs says, we miss Gyamfi when he's out, so we need to manage his minutes tomorrow. Philip Palmer says, we will take any type of win, be it scrappy, fluky, or brilliant. Mate, I couldn't agree more. Just win. That's all we ask for. Just win. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. So all that's left to say is the very best of luck to the lads tonight. It's like what we always say in these games. Just lay a glove on them. We started the game against AEK Athens well. We did. And then all of a sudden, we just fell off a cliff. And we can't allow that to happen tomorrow night. If we start the game well, we've got to keep the momentum going throughout the game. We keep talking about these things like momentum, with Don Vasey, the sports psychologist. Momentum, chaos, all these things that go on during football matches. We have to manage the game well tomorrow. And if we do, you just never know. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be really tough. But I wish the lads nothing but the very best of luck. So, I will see you again on Friday night for the review show. And then we'll also be back on Saturday for the preview show ahead of the game against Motherwell. So, enjoy your evening. Enjoy tomorrow. Don't forget it's an early kickoff. And I'll see you on Friday. Take good care of yourselves. Stand free.